Hi, welcome to today's episode of Tête-à-tête. It's going to be a little bit different. My guest, Sheikh Suhaimi from Honda, has an emergency and he cannot join me today. So it actually made me think about, okay, what shall I talk about? I've got just a few minutes to prepare. He actually informed me of the change of plans yesterday, but it's a bit challenging to actually get a replacement guest speaker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just change the content for today a little bit, and I'm going to talk about what you can do when things don't go as planned. Well, I'm going to share with you 8 steps so that you prepare yourself. Everybody goes through things that don't go as planned. For example, a simple one would be you want to get a job and you don't get the job, or you go to pitch to a client and you don't get the project, or even if you go to say a restaurant and you don't get what you wanted on the menu. So these things are just samples of things that we go through when things just sometimes don't go as planned. For me, it has happened as a normal human being a few times as well. And this one particular incident that stood out was really last year when we were doing our first Global Drone Conference from first Best Events production. We had the Global Drone Conference. It was our first attempt at running our own production, and of course we had a few supportive people who were very excited to be part of the event, but we weren't really looking at making a lot of money from this. We wanted just to break into the market, get people to recognize who we were, why we're doing this, and it worked out. But of course, this is in hindsight. When we were going through that phase, we were thinking, oh no, we've invested a bit of time in planning this event. What if there are not enough people, not enough exhibitors, not enough participants? And then we reached this crossroad to decide whether we wanted to be part of a bigger event with another partner of another event company, or just to maintain our small scale event. And we had to decide within a week because the event was going to be a bit sooner than ours. So and they were more established, so they had their pros and they also had their cons, and we were like, okay, should we do this? Should we go ahead with them, or should we just run our show, accept the consequences, learn from the experience, and just move on? So sleepless nights nevertheless, and we decided, okay, we'll just go ahead with the participants that we have, with the activities that we have, and come what may. We didn't regret that decision, because when we went to the other competitors, or actually another event company's event, we could see that for them it was also a challenge to get people on board. So actually to keep our small scale was actually a good decision. So sometimes things happen for a reason, and things happen to make us stronger. So we just have to learn from it and try to adapt to things that come our way. So what are the 8 steps for you to take when you come to this kind of situation? Number 1, I guess you would just have to be flexible, maintain your composure, take a step back, and kind of like see, okay, accept that it's not going to be happy, accept the disappointment, accept that you cannot control everything, and learn to adapt to the situation. Another thing would be number 2, deal with change. When things don't go as planned, don't give up, adapt, learn from your mistakes, and try avoiding them, work around them, and try a different approach. Number 3, ask for help. There's nothing to be afraid of when asking for help. When you come to a point where you don't know what to do, this is where we actually asked all our friends for help. When it came to the earlier conference that we wanted to do, we had very supportive partners. They said, okay, we'll stand by your side. Let's just get this going. And even my spouse was giving all his support, and he knew how much my partner, my company partner, and myself had put into that planning of the event. So yeah, he was just there, you know, when I didn't need more advice. I just needed somebody to listen. So ask for help when you need to. Put your ego aside and learn from experience. Another thing would be, of course, to maintain good relationships with those who helped you in the first place, and help them when they're in your situation, right? Number 5, accept defeat or loss. When you plan something and things don't go as planned, it happens a lot, especially in events. So what we need to do is try to solve the problem and learn the reason behind its failure, perhaps, and avoid repeating the same mistake again. Number 6, you're human, so forgive yourself. When things don't go as planned, don't beat yourself up for it and blame yourself. Instead, try to let go, start over. Of course, you need to accept that maybe you did make a mistake. You could have done things better, but learn to forgive yourself and make things better. Number 7, stick to your values. So never lose yourself when things don't go as planned. So stick to your core values and principles. When you come to a stage where you have to decide whether to give up your values or not, to instances where sometimes people ask for more than you can give, and you're torn between decisions, just go with your core value. Okay. Number 8, stay positive. This might not seem easy, especially when you're at that point when things don't go as planned. So just try to remain optimistic and remember that the situation may be horrible at the moment, or unbearable, or just bad. There's a reason for these things to happen, and accept that and move forward. So as disappointing as it can be, the only other way is up. So I've got a little snippet about what Gary Vee has to say. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
And this rant is about timing. You need to be aware of when you have your big opportunities. You need to squeeze so fucking hard when you've got that moment. You have to understand that shit will always change. If it's terrible right now, it's going to get better. If it is phenomenal right now, it is going to get worse. That is just the way it's always been. I'm not smart, it's just fucking history.